is going to be a little different. I'm going to be answering some questions that I have been getting in my GFX tutorial. So I picked the most common ones that people have been asking. So the first thing is, some people were having problems exporting models, so your hats, from Roblox Studio. So please make sure that you're only selecting your hats, because the rig already has a body, so the only thing you need to export is the hats. So make sure that you export the hats, and make sure that you're not selecting on your username here, or else that will select the whole thing. So basically, you right click and export selection and save it, give it a name and save it into a folder where you think you might find it easier. So make a folder on your desktop and it'll be easier to locate your exported files. So I already did that. And when you export the hats or any model that you're doing, it will come with an OBJ file and an MTL file along with the textures. So this is a texture of my character and one of the hats. So that's the one thing that you need to keep in mind. So now in Blender, you need to open the rig in order to use it, obviously. But if you're having problems opening up a rig, it's very simple. Just File, and then click Open, and find where you downloaded the rig. So make sure you remember where you downloaded it and just select it, and it'll appear. Now, the problem that some of you have been commenting is my hats don't appear right on the character. And that might be because when you imported your character onto Roblox Studio, you might have moved it from the position it was when it was first imported. So make sure that you don't move your character at all, like I said in that video. But if you didn't move it and for some reason your hats just appear somewhere else in the 3D viewpoint, just put them back onto the body here. So I'm going to import my hats again. So File, Import, and Wavefront, and I'm gonna go to that folder where I save all my exported files. And you're gonna make sure that you click on the OBJ file, because that's the only file that will show up. So make sure you click on the OBJ file, so import OBJ. And as you can see, my hats over here is not quite placed right on the character because I have another hat covering my face and that is not showing up here. So the only thing I need to do is just select it, of course, and then move it a little bit so that it looks normal. Now, I suggest you every time you import an object, just go to Object, set Origin to Geometry. So over here, and this will put an arrow in the middle of the object so that it's way easier to move. And that's the one problem. And the other problem is selecting. I didn't really see comments on that, but I noticed that some people, their blenders are set up differently. For me, I select objects with right clicking, but for some of you it might be the left click. So make sure you know which one is which for you. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention. And the other one was the hat attachment rig wasn't really clickable. So basically what you need to do is you need to make this thing clickable again, because I don't know what really happened here, but you can't really select it. So I'm just gonna move away my hat so that you can see it. And basically what you need to do is, if you go to this list up here and just make this window bigger, you have to select on head attachments, and that will select it. And once you've selected it, you have to go to Object, click Transform, and then you have to click on Scale Texture Space. You click on it and you click again without moving your mouse. And now you should be able to select the head attachment. So I'm gonna move back my hats over here like that. And now I'm gonna parent them. So a lot of people have trouble doing this based on the comments. So this is what you do to make it easier. So you have to go to solid view. So it's called viewpoint shading. So click on this solid circle, and then you wanna click on toggle X-ray, and you should be able to see through the hats. So that's good. So the first thing you need to do is select the hats, and then hold shift, and then select the square here. Now you're going to press Ctrl P, and you're going to click object. Now you have parented the hats onto the rig. Now I'm going to go back to the other view, and if I click on my rig and go to object mode and select pose mode, I can move my head along with the hats. And for some reason people were saying that you can't find pose mode, and this is because you need to select the rig in order to find pose mode, because if you're selecting something else that is not the rig, pose mode will not show up because it's not a rig, it doesn't have any bones. So just select the rig and you'll find pose mode. Now adding textures, you guys already know how to do that. You select the head, and then you go up to this window, open it up, go to the file, and then click on your texture. And then to get rid of this window, you have to go to the corner until this cross appears, and then hold it and then drag to like kind of like the corner to get rid of it. It's really hard, I hate it. I like the old one, but that's how they made it. So once you drag up the little cursor, you'll see an arrow pop up pointing upwards, so you just have to let go when that shows up, and like that. You get rid of that page. So that being said, let's talk about the camera. So I did comment an update on the camera because the Shift F doesn't really work for everybody. So you need to actually set up that shortcut key in order to do it. So when you add a camera, so I'm gonna add a camera here. So, and I go to the camera view. In order to move the camera around using the AWSD keys, you have to go to view, then go to navigation and click on walk navigation. And as you can see here, I set up that option to Shift F, so I gave it that shortcut key. So I'm just gonna click on it, and then now I can use the AWSD keys to move the camera. So you can set up your own shortcut key if you want. If not, you can just leave it as it is. But if you want to set up a shortcut key, you can just right click on that option and create shortcut. So that is how you fix the camera thing. I thought that it was already set up for everybody, but it turns out it wasn't. So yeah. Now the next thing was lighting. So some of you said that every time you render it would show up dark, and that might be because of two things. One thing is when you added the light, when you added the sun or a point light, you didn't really make it bright enough in order to show up. So if I go to light view, right now it's dark because the light doesn't have too much power. So if I increase the lighting, so if I select on the light here and I click on the properties for that light, if I increase it, it'll get brighter and brighter. So that's what you need to do in order to make it brighter. And another thing is, if I'm going to delete this, you can also go to world properties, and right now the color is set up to a dark gray. So that is basically the environment lighting, which I recommend if you don't want to use the little lamp. So if you go to world properties and change the color to white, the whole thing will become brighter, which is really nice. And finally, the last thing here that I almost forgot is the transparent hats. So my hats look a little transparent, and what I've been seeing in the comments is that when you did when you turn the hats into clear coat normal, like I said in the video, some of the hats were still transparent, and this might be because you have way too many hats on your character that you have to actually turn them individually. So I try to add a lot of hats to my character so that I can get this list. So right now I'm going to select on the hat and I'm going to turn it to clear coat normal. And if I go to my interview, these are still a little transparent, and if you come across that problem, you will have to go to this list over here under material properties, and you might have to click all of the textures that you see in this list and turn each of them into clear coat normal to get them back to its solid view. So just keep that in mind whenever you have that problem. But the textures basically mean the textures of each individual hat. So yeah, that is how you fix that tiny problem that people have been asking. And that's basically what I wanted to point out. So those were just the common problems that I've seen in the comment section on that video. But if you do have more questions or you're still having problems, you can join my Discord server that I recently made for that specific topic, so for Blender help. So if you want, you can join that and I'll be able to help you there.